3-foot lengths of straight track, but they're bendy. And the problem you have with that is obviously because they start out straight, forming a uniform curve is difficult, but you want your curves to be uniform, so once a train is going through the curve, it's not getting thrown by the radius of the curve adjusting as it goes round. So you can buy little plastic templates which insert between the two rails and hold a curve so that you can stick the track down. Once it's stuck, you take the little plastic things out and move on to the next bit of the curve. The thing is it's not that they cost a lot. They only cost a $1 or $2 each, but they're not available in all manner of radiuses. Oh, shut up. Probably my phone screaming at me. Hush. Go away. You do that and tell me yes. Okay. Alarm acknowledged. We are good to ignore it. So it occurred to me this week that I could make my own. Now, there are a variety of useful tools, shall we call them, available. You could do, what are they called? You could do a 3D printer and create a plot for plastic curves which are a set width that will slot in between your track and hold the curve or the radius that you want. You could use a laser cutter to achieve the same goal. Now, I don't have either of those, but what I do have is a mechanical cutter, Cricut. So that could be used to, if I get some pieces of plastic, probably from somewhere like Hobby Lobby, sheets of plastic, I can then cut radius templates into that, from that. I could, basically, if I figure out how to do it all, I can set up, once I've got the template created, I can create as many of them as I want. So if they're 30 degrees each, I could print off 3 or cut out 3 of them, and that would make a 90-degree turn, which I need for each corner of the layout. And then I can cut one at 39-inch radius, 37-inch radius, which is not ones that are commercially available to buy. So that is my latest thought, which suddenly means I need to get with the Cricut a lot sooner than I thought. I thought I was going to be cutting out paving slabs and plastic wall sheets for walls and buildings and window holes in the plastic sheets and what have you, but looks like I might need it for construction purposes as well. The thing is constructions first and then adding the scenery later. And I also need to cut the wooden boards to shape. That might end up being a pencil on a piece of string method. I was considering doing something like trying to figure out how to cut 30-degree radii along a sheet and get a whole bunch of them out of one sheet, but I won't necessarily go for the most efficient. I will probably end up needing a lot of spare bits of wood anyway, so not being the most efficient, I'll have a bunch of offcuts which can be used later for scenery purposes or whatever. I'm still undecided. I kind of thought it would be best to make the entire track level. Again with the mist bit. Well, it is what it is. I have a problem in this field. I wonder if... maybe this is maize, so it's going to need ploughed after we've done it, or after we've harvested it. Maybe the solution here is to bring the actual plough out and plough the field, and it might be that that segment is not considered field, so I can use the plough to make the field. It's like I missed a rolled bit to the right. I'm not going to be too fussed about that for right now. But yeah, I'm now, as far as the boards are concerned, I am now right at the end of construction for that initially. We've got all the legs screwed to the end pieces, and I just have to screw the sides on and the bracing struts in, and I can start laying board for track. And then once track's laid, I can... My initial thoughts are I'm going to make 2 circles, no switches, no crossovers, so I can just run trains around the loop while I'm putting out scenery on half of the boards. And then I'll turn my attention to the back half, which will probably involve pulling up half of the circle and replacing it with something a little bit more complex, so that there's stuff to do, not just stuff to sit around and watch trains go by. But yeah, I kind of considered a completely level circle, so there's no gradients. I don't have to worry about the weight of a train behind a locomotive and can it make it up a hill or not. But I do have the potential to possibly alter the height at opposite ends by about 2 inches. But if I do that, I would need a single loop helix to raise the track up about 2 inches and still get what I want as scenery on the backside. Also, having a helix would result in not needing... I didn't want to turn that way. Not needing to run the track around the absolute outside edge of the boards. Because that's the problem with model railway mounted in the middle of the room. Your tracks are at the edge of the boards, which risks arms and hands knocking things off and doing serious damage to rather pricey plastic models. Whereas an inside, a model railway mounted along the walls of a room means that to maximize your curves, make them less unrealistic, you would put the tracks to the wall side of the board with scenery in front. But by introducing a helix on one edge, it means the exit to the helix and the entrance to the helix are interior from the track, so you would have something that comes on that corner. You're coming from the inside, the scenery back of the board and coming to the front in order to make the turn at the other end. And it is considered, if you don't want straights, straight track doesn't provide much relief. So if there is some form of gentle bend or whatever, you can introduce a little bit more interest. And obviously, nothing's built with a ruler in real life. You try and make things as straight as possible, but when you're laying tracks, the ground isn't straight. And the problem for railroad engineers is trains don't go up and down hills very well, so you have to keep the gradients as low as possible. It's kind of like a gradient on a highway doesn't affect a car as much as it affects a huge semi-truck. And a train is a semi-truck on steroids. It can haul a lot more weight, but it really, really, really doesn't like hills. So civil engineers have to either cut into a hill, cut through a hill, so a cutting, a tunnel, bring a lot of dirt to the building site and raise the ground so that the track can stay level, or you go round hills, so nothing is straight. Now obviously if you're going through a tunnel or a cutting, straight is the best. But also it can be limited by who owns the land and what you can, in modern life, the governments are allowed to do a compulsory purchase on your land, so they can buy what they need to put out or to use. In the olden days, when it was private railroad companies, they would attempt to buy your land, but if you didn't want to sell it to them, well, they'd have to just go round. And so that happens in some cases. Either the trains go round because they couldn't buy the land, or the train goes round because the next hill needed to be, we need to bypass your land so that we can go round to the next hill. They don't like cutting into, cutting through, or raising the ground to support the track if they can avoid it, because that involves a lot of heavy lifting. Bringing in dirt, shipping out dirt. If you can do a cutting and an embankment at the same time, you can cut through and dump what you're cutting through back a little ways. Okay, it's day 3 and rain until 9 o'clock. Okay. It is what it is. Let's look at store sales while we're waiting. Where did we get up? Oh, we got up to over here. So 7710 was the last thing we saw. There's a subsoiler that can plant canola and grass. T6000, I have one of those. Ooh, big giant one of those. That would be fun. That would open all sorts of possibilities. Because base 511 horsepower, that's a weeder, which we don't need. That's a tiny baler that only does 125. It's a tiny thing. Oh, one of those! Now you see, that would be preferable to the one we have. Although 15.6 to 18.950, ours is 14,000, so it's a little bit bigger. Ours is only worth 11,000. But that, we could sell ours and buy that, and then we would have to add 2,500. Got wide wheels. You can put narrows on it, and a spreading disc system. And now, oh, you can put wide or narrow standards. Okay, well, but that adds another 10,500 to it. But that's my preferred lime spreader because it can stay out in the field longer. Well, I guess it's time to run the clock so that the ground dries out. It looks like it's going to be a cloudy day today, so we'll give it maybe an hour and a half past. I just noticed the little hands in the clock go round. Huh. So yes, since part of my layout is deemed to be countryside, and a fairly hilly part of countryside as well, the tracks are not going to be dead-eye straight. They're going to meander a little in order to make it round the hills and bring in as least dirt as possible to support the tracks. Okay, I think we'll call 10 o'clock good. Go back to here. So it is a cool day until 7 o'clock at night when the sun comes out, till 7 o'clock in the morning, till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we're going to get rain in the morning, so that's fine. Let us unfold. Okay, let's start the engine and get that unfolded. So, need to wait for this to unfold itself into position, like so. Turn it on, lower it, and we'll get to the edge of the field. So as far as the rest of Maize 3 goes, we're going to seed the 2 fields we have remaining. I think the farmyard is good for now. Come on. Go tractor. It's coming up on 10 o'clock. Actually, Mrs. Osa wanted to be leaving right about now. Doesn't matter if she's a bit late. Anyway. That done. There we go. So, yeah. The young lad is perpetually hungry and has no what's the word for it? No awareness of how much he can eat. So he always wants a ton of food, but then when he gets it, it's like, oh, I can't eat all of this. So I kind of expect, at least within 10 minutes of the girls leaving, him coming out and saying he's hungry, when are we going to go to Bob Evans? But then if I give him a bag of chips, he'll eat that, maybe, just about. And be fine. For 10 minutes, then he's hungry again. Okay. So this feels a little bit easier since it's a lot squarer than the last one. Apart from the little triangle over where we entered, there's a little bit of a pain. Then after we've done that, what's the next thing? I don't know. We'll see how we get on. But we're now go until we run out of jobs. Oops, let's lift that up. So. That's not the bestest. There we go. It's better. So yeah, this is a direct drill planter. So that patch of ground, look at that. Over here, where it didn't get planted. It did, I can't tell if it got mulched. It definitely didn't get rolled, it didn't get seeded, and that might be a problem with the side of our seeder, and there's a divot in the ground there that maybe I could smooth it out so that the seeder goes through it. Sometimes that's a benefit of using a smaller drill, is that they're not supported for their full length, so they're capable of working undulations in the ground, which this thing is less than capable of. That is good. How are we going to do this? Doing that, probably that section of ground isn't going to get cut anyway. Alrighty, let's going to run the headland at this end. Need another headland at the other end, and then we're just going to run strips up and down. Oh yes. Let's set the alarm off. Woohoo. Still getting used to the alarm. So, former foster child not feeling well enough to go. So it's just Mrs. Osa and teenage Osa going, which does mean that the young lad is not going to be so happy because it's not going to be Bob Evans, it's going to be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. No. So once I've got this row done, that gives me enough room to turn around at the end. I'll probably come back to this side. Just so that we're working our way in the direction we're currently heading. And we're going to hit the trees again. Nope, looks like we made it that time. Yay. So yeah, we're working from the far side to the near side. And the near side is where all the exits are. That is down, so... Oh... A little bit offline there. Alrighty, let's go. I guess that means after I've made the peanut butter and jelly, I can look up some design software. Since I now have plans, and I'm going to need those plans fairly soon. I hope. Alrighty. So now it gets somewhat easier. We're not, the planter is not long enough for the turn radius of this tractor, unfortunately. So it really is difficult. I should probably think about having some GPS on big tractor so